Hi everybody, it's Amy, also known as Aussie Stitcher in Texas, here on Flosstube and over on Instagram. I'm here with you today on October 1st to go over my Flosstube video number 29. So this is everything that I stitched off in the month of September. In total, I did 17,034 stitches, so I'm looking forward to showing you everything that I've completed. First off, I just want to say thank you to all of my viewers, all of my subscribers, all of my returning viewers, my returning subscribers. Thank you so much for continuing to watch my channel. I really appreciate it. Now let's jump into it. So I actually had 3 finishes this month. One I've kind of fully finished. The other 2 are just finishes. I haven't finished them, fully finished them yet. So let's start with my kind of fully finished. Let me just bring everything closer to me. So this is Pop-Up Store Cafe by Soda Stitch. Here's what it looks like the last time that you saw it. I was majority of the way done and I had only 688 stitches left to go to complete this, plus all the back stitch. So the 688 is just the stitches itself. Pattern Keeper doesn't count back stitches, so which in a Soda Stitch, if you have done before, is a lot. But here is my finish. So I've done this just in a flat fold and I just need to buy some. I was going to go try to make cording, but in all of the cording tutorials I have seen, you need like an extra attachment thingy, which I don't have and don't want to kind of invest in, considering this is something I'll be doing fairly not often. So I'll just go to one of the craft stores and buy some cording or something, or maybe some rickrack to go around the side here. But that is finished. Look how cute that is. I love these little patterns. Now my dilemma that I have is I also finished the Pop-Up Store bookstore on the same piece of fabric and I had them a little bit too close together. So now I don't know how I'm going to finish that other one because I've got kind of about that much of space between the stitching and the end. So if anybody has any suggestions on how to finish something with kind of next to no margin, it is small enough that it could fit in a 5x5 frame and still I would just kind of have to have it flat. I wouldn't be able to like wrap it around something, but I think that might be what I can do. But if anyone has any advice, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Next up is another Soda Stitch that I finished. These are nice, easy ones to crank out. It's called Our Wedding Day by Soda Stitch. Here's what it looks like the last time that you saw it. Sorry, that other one, that's a 40 count Verdal using all the called for the Pop-Up Store. And this is a 32 count even weave in an opalescent white. I don't know if you can, oh yeah, you can kind of see but here it is, finished. How cute is that? Let me just, so yeah, that's my finish. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish this one. Again, I think it would fit in like a 5x5. So, but so cute. Absolutely adorable. I'm not getting married. I just liked it. I thought it was adorable and I wanted to stitch it. And now I've got all of this. Part of me when I first finished this, I was like, oh my God, such a waste. But then trying to finish off that piece while having it on the same fabric as something else has made me very glad that I don't have to worry about margins on this when I do end up finishing it. Okay. And then my final finish for September is October by the Cricket Collection. So here's what it looks like the last time that you saw it. This was not a planned finish by any means, but I was looking through my stash, like looking for my next projects that I wanted to work on that day, and was like, this doesn't have that much to go. I just had 2 letters left. So I was like, may as well knock this out rather than wait to finish it in October, just so I could finish October in October. But here's the finished piece. So this I have stitched on a 40 count Verdal in the color Catacombs by BeStitchMe. And I subbed out the letters. So the letters are supposed to be a variegated silken colors, but I didn't want to do that. So somebody had put on here like that they use DMC 300, and I liked that, so I did that. I also didn't use the called for fabric. The called for is like a gingerbread color, and I did this one, which I had in my stash. So that is finish number 3. So my kind of whip pile is going down and then going back up, because while I finished 3 things, I started another 2. So let's move into my new starts. The first one is because I finished my soda stitches, and I like to have a soda stitch in rotation because they're nice, easy stitching. Even though they have a lot of backstitch, it's quite easy backstitch. It makes sense. So you're only ever going across 1, maybe 2 threads. You're not doing these crazy long stitches and things like that. So I worked on this one, which is called Special Day, but I'm calling it Halloween Girl. So I am doing this on a 32 count linen that I picked up in like a mystery box when I was at the Under the Sea Fabrics, one of the retreats. It is called Chloris, and here's what she looks like. So I have done, oh, let me fold this a little bit better. So I'm about halfway, and I'm trying to backstitch as I go, as I like to do with soda stitch patterns, because there's so much. I don't like working on linen. I have said that before. It's not my favorite, but this is something I had picked up in that mystery box, so I wanted to use it, and it is beautiful. I mean, linen dyes so differently to even weaves because of the fibers, and it looks beautiful. Do not get me wrong. It's an opalescent, which you can see, but somewhere up here, because the threads are not uniform in shape, I've gone over 3 instead of over 2. Which is okay because it was just up here and this is not connected to anything else. But that meant when I first started stitching on the broom handle and I used this to count, I was like half a stitch off when I got down to, thankfully I'd already done her hand, so I could tell kind of right away. So I was able to fix it and kind of come over half a stitch. But yeah, that's why I don't love working on linen, because that can happen. That's the first time that's happened to me, but but isn't she adorable? Love it. So yeah, that's a 32 count using all the called for colors. So I do sometimes sub out CXC for like the white and the black where I have it. And I think I'm using for the white, I subbed out the white. My next new start is the Reindeer by Cottage Garden Samplings. Yeah, so here's what it will look like when it's finished. I have completed the fox. In this collection, A Year in the Woods, those are the only 2 that I really liked. Which is odd. I'm not a winter person, but I loved the fox and this one, especially stitched up. When you see this one stitched up, ooh, stunning. And if you are not aware, just little PSA, on the pattern, the kind of light brown, which I think is 434 or 433. On the pattern, it's actually charted incorrectly with like I think 945, but you can go onto the Cottage Garden Samplings website and they tell you, and they explain it all there. So, but just a heads up. So this I am stitching on a 32 count even weave that I also picked up from a Under the Sea Fabrics retreat in the color Hamlet. This is an even weave though, not a linen. And just look how I did like a floss toss on this, and I loved how these colors were playing. So I did a center start, which I normally don't like doing just because I hate working up. I love working down, but because I knew I was going to use all this fabric for this, I didn't want to, it didn't make sense for me to measure down only my 3 inches and then have like a weird size. So I was just like, just start in the middle, Amy. Let's not make it complicated. And again, screw up your margins for yourself to make it hard to finish. Not that I finished that many things. Everyone's got so many pieces finished and they're just hanging up. Sorry, I should say not that I fully finished many things. And they're just hanging up in my closet. I have them on like trouser clip things. And I just hang them up so I don't have to worry about anything getting squished. Okay. so those are this the, oh, you belong over here. I'm trying to tidy up as I go. So those are the two, yes, so those are my two new starts for September. I got 1,730 stitches on the Reindeer and other way around. No, that's right, 1,730 stitches on the Reindeer and 1,800 stitches plus the back stitch on my Sew to Stitch Halloween girl. Now let's move on into my just regular works in progress. First off, it was my Whip Go call for the month. The Whip Go calls were number 4 and 11. Number 4 for me was Halloween Quaker, which I already finished, so I just marked that off as done. And number 11 was Country Magic Stitch, to stitch 1,000 stitches, and I have Visit Narnia. Here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I am stitching this on a 28 count Monaco in just a white, and I am doing this 1/1. And I worked on, how many? I got 1,041 stitches here. I'm just really in the brown section at the moment, and I don't love stitching browns. I don't know what it is, even though, I mean, the Reindeer is a lot of brown, but it just kind of, I find it quite the hard slog. So I have to pace myself with that. And this is just, I mean, it's the wardrobe. So the wardrobe's all different shades of brown, but it is block color. So at least it goes quick when I need to do it. And this is here, 1/1. So very small on a 28 count. This was my test to see if I could do a, like a proper full, this is full coverage, but like a Heaven and Earth design on a smaller count. My other ones I've always done on like a 32, a 16, or an 18. And because some of the other pieces I wanted to work on were quite large, I wanted to bring them down in size. So this, I had that in stash. So I thought, oh, I'll give it a try. And it's working for me, which is good. It's all about the lighting for me. Next up is a piece that you've seen many times before if you've been with me for a while. It is my Alternative Reality by Josephine Wall. Here's what it will look like when it's finished. I am stitching this on an 18 count, 2/1, full cross, and it is, sorry, here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I am at like 32, 33%, so I'm like a third of the way there. Here is what she looks like now. Oh, let me get this threads out of the way. I am doing this in the Royal Row method and like going across from end to end like a typewriter. So look at this. So I have her face now kind of in both the fantasy world over here and then the real world over here. And I've started, well, I've reached the point, let me bring her in, of like hitting her dress up here. I think that's her arm. And ooh, the confetti. This is going to be rough, but I absolutely love this. I have a goal to finish this in 5 years, which means I need 25,000 stitches a year in order to get it done from when I kind of made that goal. So far this year, I have done 23,390. So I am very much on track. And I love this over here, like the, oh, sorry. The like ruins. It's amazing kind of when you step back, how much everything looks like it's supposed to. Whereas when you're stitching it and it's in your face, you're like, what is that? And then you step back and there it is. Ooh, absolutely love it. Oh my gosh. Huge, huge piece, which is why I wanted to try and start stitching on the, like the 25 count 1/1, because otherwise all of these pieces, while do not get me wrong, I love the 18 count for being able to do the, oh wait, I'll leave that out. Like 2/1, you know, so I can do a loop start, but it's just, it's so big. Not that some of these pieces aren't big anyway. So I worked on that for 2,153 stitches. Next up is my Quaker Tiles USA by Vivsters. I am doing the reversed flag, which means rather than like stitching the motif, so if you can see here, that the white is the fabric show through. So rather than stitching the motif, you kind of stitch everything else and the motif is the negative space. It means more stitching, obviously. So there's more stitches going into it. However, I just I like that one better between the two. When you purchase the pattern, you actually get both options, or at least I did when I got it. Here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it. I am doing this on a 40 count Verdal, just in white. I can wrangle this. And here's where it's up to. So just a lot of blues at the moment. I do think I start the reds because I kind of go over one and then down and then over one and down. That's how I'm doing it. So I'm almost done. I think I've only got maybe 3 more blocks of the blue before I get into the reds and then the grays. I did change the colors on this this is not the called for colors. The called for blue was 930, which is like a gray blue. And I've done 312, I think. And then that was it. Oh, and the gray is a very, very light gray, which I was watching Holly, the cross stitch addict, and she's the reason why I changed, because she changed. I didn't change my red. She's changed her red as well. I didn't change my red. I left the red as is. But then the gray, because it was such a light gray, there's the concern that it wouldn't show up on white fabric, which it wouldn't. So I've got either 01 or 02, which is just a little bit darker. And I'm stitching this actually in CXC floss, which I really do like, if I'm honest. I really do like the CXC. That I worked on for a couple of days and got 2,195 stitches in. Next up is my You Belong to Me by Long Dog Samplers. Here's what it looks like. Sorry, here's what it will look like when it's finished. And I am stitching this on 40 count Verdal in the color Gold Rush by BeStitchMe. Here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it. This was just a little bit of a palette cleanser. I think I had worked on, this was after Alternative Reality, and I just wanted some block color. So I only got 753 stitches on this, but she is coming along. So I worked kind of across here, and then a little bit more of the palm tree just to finish off the piece of thread that I had before moving on. And I'm stitching this in 3842, I believe. Yeah, 3842. DMC. I didn't use the CXC for this one, because I wanted to, that is the one kind of downside of CXC, is it's not the instant gratification. So if I do want to do something with CXC and work, what is in this bag? And I need to order it, it's obviously going to take a week or two to come through from China. Whereas going to the craft store, I can have instant gratification. Sorry, there's something on this bag. And go and buy everything there, if I obviously have my fabric in-house. All right, final piece that I worked on for the month. It's actually not my final, but the final one I'm showing is Faces of Faery 193 by Jasmine, Beckett, Griffith. I am doing this on a 16 count Aida. I have completed the Black Swan version. I think it's 201. And they're going to be the same size, but I worked on this for, where are you? 2,600 stitches, give or take? Yeah, 2,655. Here's what it looked like the last time that you saw it, if I didn't show you already. And here's where we're up to now. So I now have the full width of the piece. This section, so to come down here, that's one page. And then you come across, and there was only like one and a bit of a column left for like a third page. So I'm doing this all together. So I'll come across and then go down, complete that page, and then come and do the bottom half, because there's only another set of, one page, 6 pages in total. Again, row method, using all the called for. This is all DMC, but look at her. I wanted to get both, because I had contemplated coming down here, so then I could kind of not really then have any superfluous hanging threads, but I wanted to get both eyes in so it doesn't look so strange. Because that's what really are these Jasmine, Beckett, Griffith pieces. It's all about the eyes, because the eyes are always so huge and such a focal point, at least in the the ones that I look at anyway. Okay, so that is everything that I worked on in September. Like I said, 17,034 stitches, so it was a great stitching month. Next month will not be so great because I do have vacation plans that I'll be gone for, and I might get a little bit of stitching done, but I highly doubt it. I'm going to Hawaii for my birthday, and I have some fantastic friends who are coming with me. So that is all the stitching that I've done. If that's all you're here for, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could like and subscribe if you're not a subscriber, leave me a comment if you like my pieces, that would be fantastic. But if you do want to stick around to see my, to hear my plans and to see my purchases, that is what we're going to do next. So moving into haul. So I did buy a couple of patterns this month. First off, make sure I'm showing you only the cover and not the pattern itself, just because. So I got the pop-up store ice cream shop. I love these. I love Sew to Stitch, and I love these little pop-up stores. So the ice cream store is the next one I'm going to start whenever I start that. And this next one really grabbed me. Just sometimes a pattern, when you see it, is just, wow, I must have that. I must stitch that. And for me, that was this one, Cabin in the Woods by Flossabilities. So Lauren from Flossabilities, she does have a Flosstube channel. I will tag her below so you can see. So she started designing a little while ago now, and I've loved a bunch of her patterns, but this is the first one where I was like, I mean, a lot of them I've been, oh my God, but this one for me was, oh my God. I don't know if it's like the tealy colors on the darker fabric. I just absolutely loved this. So I immediately went and purchased it. And then of course, because I purchased that, I needed fabric. So I got, what is this one? So it's charcoal Lugana, just in kind of the size that I need. 32 count, 32 count? Yes, 32 count. And then as a purchase, I also got another cut of the 40 count Verdal for the, I have of the US Quaker, I also have the Australian Quaker, so that I can complete that. My other purchase, and this is one that I have ummed and ahed about for a while, and the only reason I purchased it is because it's a kit. I found out you can get a PDF copy, which is Pattern Keeper compatible. Because I'm very much at that point where if it's not Pattern Keeper compatible, I don't want to work on it. I don't want to work on paper patterns anymore. But that is a Luca S kit. And I've already unpacked it, so that's why it's not so easy to show. But here it is. It is the King of Flowers, I should say. And it's a kit, so it comes with all the floss on these cards. This is Luca S floss, so it's not, you know, like DMC. So all the floss. And then it came with a needle, obviously, and fabric. Now, the fabric is not big enough. Well, it is and it isn't. To get a 2-inch margin, I need a piece that's 19 by 19. And this is 18 by 8. The piece of fabric they give is 18 by 18. And it's a 16 count? Yeah. Which is just a little too tight for me. So I'm going to use other fabric, whether that's like I just go onto 1, 2, 3 stitch and get like another cut of like an easy guide or what. I'll figure that out, and then I'll just use that 16 count for something else further down the line. Now, if you have purchased a Luca S kit and want to get it into Pattern Keeper, and they do have some of their kits that use anchor floss, so that's, you know, kind of very easy. And then for their kits that use their floss, when I imported it into Pattern Keeper, it obviously didn't import it imports the symbols, but doesn't attach a number to it or a color. So what I did, rather than trying to go through and use the custom to type in, you know, color 1, 2, 3, and then find a shade of purple or whatever that worked, what I did was I went to their website and I looked at their conversion chart to DMC. So if it said, you know, Luca S color 1, 2, 3, the equivalent DMC is number 34. That's what I put into Pattern Keeper. Now they do have a couple of extra shades. So because when I looked at the conversion tool, it might say that the DMC 34 was the equivalent to like 2 of their colors, just because they have a slightly different shade of purple or whatever it is. I still put it into Pattern Keeper as like DMC 34. I will be going by the symbol more so than the color number. So I will kind of have to reference the key on the paper to make sure I'm pulling the right Luca S thread, but at least in Pattern Keeper, when I color it in to complete the stitch, it looks like the color, the pattern, more than if I tried to go through and pick various shades of purple and green and grays and all of that. So that's what I did. It might not work for everybody. It might kind of throw you off to say, you know, oh, it's DMC 34 when it's not, but that's what worked for me, and I'm happy to stick with that. So that is my haul for the month. I'm trying to not buy as many things. I canceled my Fabric of the Month clubs just so I can churn through what I have a little bit before I join any up again. And let's move on to plans. So like I said, I am on vacation this month. I'm gone for about 2 weeks to Hawaii on a cruise. We'll have a little bit of downtime, so I might be able to get some stitching, and obviously it's an 8-hour flight to get there. So I might take some stitching with me on the plane just to see if I do want to stitch. I'd hate to not bring something and then somehow find all this time to stitch. I'd rather have something and not stitch on it than have the opportunity to stitch and not stitch. But as far as plans go for when I am definitely going to be able to stitch, the Whip Go calls for this month were number 17 and number 8. For me, number 8 is Alternative Reality for 1,000 stitches. So I'll work on that for 1,000 stitches plus the 2,000 monthly goal that I have. So 3,000 stitches in total there. And then number 17 was a Fancy Lady. Now I obviously created this Whip Go board at the beginning of the year where I did have plans to stitch a Fancy Lady. And then I kind of fell off the Fancy Lady bandwagon. I just wasn't, they weren't calling to me. I have a couple of Mirabilias and a couple of Bella Filipinas. And while, do not get me wrong, I love them. I love the ones that I have. I have finished Andromeda and Garden Prelude by Mirabilia, and I love them. Absolutely love them. And I finished one Bella Filipina. But I just kind of fell off the wagon. And then I was watching Sarah Stitch and Mommy's Whip Parade that she did, and she has a bunch of Fancy Ladies. And it brought back my desire to actually stitch a Fancy Lady. My plan had been before this that when that Fancy Lady category got called was to stitch on either Alternative Reality, because there's, you know, a Fancy Lady in there, she's got a beautiful dress, or my Autumn by Alexandra V. Bark. Even though I'm nowhere near the lady part of the pattern, at least there is a Fancy Lady in it. But after watching Sarah's Flosstube, the Whip Parade with all the Fancy Ladies, it brought out my desire to start a Fancy Lady again. So I am going to stitch on Persephone, which I've had for a while. I have all the, you know, I had bought all the well, it was DMC floss, but I bought the Karen water lilies that was needed. I bought I'm unsure if I bought the beads, but I bought the fabric. And if I didn't buy the beads, that's okay. Beading will not be happening for at least a year on that piece, but that's what I'm going to start. I did also, and this was a while ago still when I was on my Fancy Lady bandwagon, I actually used charting software to chart in. So I, by hand, recharted that whole pattern into charting software so that I can have it in Pattern Keeper. So I'm hoping that will really reignite my Fancy Lady desire, is working on it in Pattern Keeper, because working on it on paper, you know, they're huge pieces of paper, which, you know, I do create a working copy of because so I don't ruin the pattern itself, because I did find with my Andromeda, with the constant folding and unfolding, the paper started to wear a bit at the folds. So when I did Garden Prelude, I used a working copy. And then for Persephone, I now have that in Pattern Keeper, so I can work on that much easier than through paper. So I'm going to start that this month, and then just work on, you know, whatever I have time for. I may start Cabin in the Woods. I'm unsure. I've got everything, fabric, and I went out and bought their floss that I didn't have. So it is kind of calling to me. Maybe that I'll call that my birthday start, even though I'll be traveling over my actual birthday, but I'll start it either before or after and call it good. But that is what I'm planning on doing for October. Thank you everybody for watching who stuck to the end. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic October ahead. If you are a spooky season stitcher, this is your time to thrive. I do have a couple of Halloween pieces that I'll probably bring out at some point, and then I'll start bringing out some of the finishes that I have of my Halloween decorations. But enjoy your time ahead. I hope you have a great day, and thanks so much. Bye.